Hello everyone, greetings from Dean's Park Court. By popular request I have decided to do a Christmas special video blog. Thank you all who promoted me to do so. Those who followed my lockdown blogs will remember that I based them on articles I wrote in my church magazine in the 1990s. So here I would like to share the two from December and January 1995-1996. I wrote, "My, how the time flies. December is on us once again, which of course heralds a very special time in the Christian calendar, the anniversary of the birth of our baby Jesus. Because of the Christmas social traditions, it is a busy time for all, with everyone rushing and bustling about, shopping, etc., leaving very little time to be still. Seeing in a magazine the illustration of a Christmas table laden with food and wine, it set me thinking about the place tables occupy in our lives. What marvellous work is carried out every day on an operating table under the skillful hands of a surgeon. We all have reason to be grateful for that table. One of my favourite is the kitchen table with its well-scrubbed top. How I loved to sit beside it as a child and talk over with my mother my day at school. Then there is the round table housed in the Great Hall in Winchester. Here it is said King Arthur and his knights met to eat and plan valiant deeds. The present round tablers are made up of young men from all professions who meet to dine and plan schemes to help their local community. I have left the most special table until last, the communion table, which means so much to those who have given their lives to Jesus. It surely is the greatest table of all. In many ways, Christmas brings a kind of magic. I was reading one of Joyce Grenfell's articles entitled My Kind of Magic. In it, she portrayed so beautifully that what she meant was not the abracadabra kind, but the heightened qualities of certain, quite often small experiences, lit by an unexpected excitement, powerful but with innocence. It prompted me to think what I might have written given the opportunity. Climbing to the top of the hill on a spring morning, then catching the sight of the glorious view, peeping into a bird's nest and seeing lots of tiny, wide-open mouths, hearing the cuckoo in spring, or a piece of music special to me, leaving footprints in the sand at the edge of the sea, scrunching through crisp, freshly fallen snow. There are some of my kinds of magic, but the most blessed of all kinds of magic must be a new baby. Tiny fragment of new life, so exquisite and beautiful, entering the world. A miraculous event indeed. This Christmas, my kind of magic is to be changed into reality, since Melvin and I look forward in anticipation and excitement to the birth of our very first grandchild, expected to arrive on the 23rd of December. A blessing indeed. This brought into my mind the following charming Christmas poem. "See his hand," said the donkey, "so fragile and small, yet offering the truth of the world to us all. See his feet," said the grey sheep, "his tiny toes curled, yet one day they will lead the way for the world. See his eyes," said the brown ox, "his sweet gentle face, the light of the world is here by God's grace. See his love," said the donkey, "it shines like a light round his head like a halo, Let's praise God tonight. January. Have you ever wondered why January is called January? As we set foot into another new year, it is interesting to know what is now our first month takes its name from the Roman god Janus. Janus provided over the beginning of things. He was invoked whenever anybody began something, a journey, an enterprise, an experiment. He was also god of doors. In art, Janus was depicted as having two heads, or more precisely, one head with two faces. He was thus able to look back and also look forward, which after all is symbolic of what most of us are doing at this very moment. I hope you can look back and thank God and look forward with faith that all will be well. At this time of year, I always spend an hour or two with my two diaries, transferring names, addresses, phone numbers, birthdays, anniversaries and details of meeting from the old diary to the snow-white paper of the new one. It is quite a task, for in the course of a year you can collect copious bits and pieces of information, some useful, some not. It's always a job well done, and later, with a murmur of satisfaction, I put the new diary in my handbag for easy reference and place the old one in my drawer. The old year is now behind me. I'm making a new start, and as I once read, consider that I should trust the past to the mercy of God, the present to his love, and the future to his providence. New Year is a time for new beginnings, but this story begins with a quarrel. One January, a young man, his wife and two small children walked out of his mother's house. A comment by Granny on the children's manners had led to a bitter row. After that, though, Granny wrote to apologise. Susan, her daughter-in-law, couldn't forget what had happened, and her husband, although sore in heart, felt that he had to back her up. The following Christmas Eve, a parcel arrived. In it were two small coats for the children with Granny's love. They were beautiful, but Susan saw at once that they were of no use. They were much too small. And then she realised why. In the last year, the children had grown taller, but Granny still pictured them as they were the last time she'd seen them. That made Susan think and brought home the sadness of it all. So on New Year's Eve, as the clock crept up to midnight, she got into the car and drove across the town. She knocked on Granny's door, stretched her arms out with tears in her eyes. "Happy New Year, but I'm sorry." A Christmas present that was no good, the first foot who said, "I'm sorry." Together they brought about a new beginning to the happiest New Year a Granny could have had, and made the entire family cheerful again. Have you ever noticed how often cheerful people wear cheerful colours? I only have to see a red scarf and I'm reminded of a certain memorable day. It was bitterly cold, and I grumbled a bit when I had to go to the newsagents. There were several customers waiting in the queue, shivering and complaining about the weather, and I added my voice to the chorus. We all had a gloom and a moan about how the season was getting more and more chilled all the while. Then, with a flurry of bright red hat and a woolly scarf, in came Jane with a wide smile, her eyes twinkling happily. "Oh, I've just seen my first snowdrop. Just think, spring is nearly here." She unwound her bright scarf and went on before anybody could speak. "And do you know my garden robin has found a mate? He usually drives other robins away from my garden table. Old Bossy Boots, I call him, but he permits his chosen lady love to share the crumbs I put out. Yes, spring is nearly here, folks, and isn't that grand?" Suddenly it was indeed. Snowdrops, bird pairing, nest building, fledglings calling loudly for food all came to my mind in a flash, and the gloom and cold of the day was instantly forgotten. Oh, for more constructive, cheerful thinkers in this world. It prompted me to go out the next day and treat myself to a bright red sweater, and I felt much happier. What a year we have all had. There is no doubt that each and every one of us are disappointed about restrictions that have been imposed on us all for this Christmas, which for most of us is a precious family time. However, I do think that it's been done for the benefit and for the future good of all people, especially with COVID still rife and playing its devious tricks. I love Christmas, especially the day itself, which I always spend with my family that I love and cherish, but sadly not this year. It is quite unbelievable to me that I mentioned in my article that my kind of magic was a newborn baby and that I was excited at the coming birth of my first grandchild just before Christmas. Luke, my grandson, will be 25 years old on the 28th of December. A delightful young man who has achieved great things academically and has a lovely fiancée who has done the same. I am so proud to have my granddaughter too, who is now a primary school teacher. So even in this dark time of COVID, I have much to celebrate. And even though we have been kept separated for the past 10 months, I know they love and respect me and I them, and nothing can separate us from the mutual bond of love. But at Christmas, for me personally, it is more important to celebrate the birth of the baby in the stable at Bethlehem, which is in truth the purpose of Christmas, the day Jesus Christ was born, and not all of the material trappings of this age. As we then move to celebrate a new year, my prayer is, with the breakthrough of the COVID vaccine, our lives will eventually return to more normal life, where we are not living in the fear and separation from our loved ones. Melvin and I have been privileged to have our first vaccination jab, which was so easy. Little or no side effects, and I urge all of you to go and get yours when you are called to do so. In reality, what have we to lose except perhaps life itself? In my January article, I wrote of the petty quarrel which caused everyone so much pain, but eventually was resolved. Also, the positive attitude of the young lady in the bright red hat and scarf, and it made me think that if nothing else, COVID may have taught us how precious life is and how precious relationships are. And that petty quarrels and our human ability to moan and grumble and take things for granted as a right are really so unimportant and futile. The old saying goes, you never miss what you had until it is taken away from you. And COVID has taken so much from every single person this past year. I know for me personally, there have been times when I have had deep feelings of despair and fear and loneliness because of our circumstances. For all of us, it's been a living nightmare that isn't over yet. Shielding and not seeing anyone was especially hard for me, as I am a social animal, and I experienced many dark days when I struggled to remain positive. Here we are, almost approaching Christmas Day, and at least have some kind of celebration, unlike the 65,000 plus who have lost their lives to COVID. My heart goes out to all the families who have an empty chair at their table, which will never be filled again. My grateful thanks go to all the NH staff, key workers, and all those in jobs seemingly unimportant to care for us in our time of need, especially the scientists and their team who have developed this life-saving vaccine. As I move towards this new year, I am making every effort to stay positive, and for me, this is fundamentally having a heart full of gratitude for the small things in life and take comfort from those I know and love and care for me, and in turn offer them love and comfort too. For me personally, I have realised even more deeply that material things in life, although nice to have, are mere trappings and nothing compared to the loving touch of a daughter, son, a grandchild, a friend. Surely one thing we all have in common is to give of ourselves, our time, our consideration, our kindness, our compassion, our care, and moreover an acceptance of each other, however much our differences and opinions are. I, for one, can't wait for the time I can be part of the biggest group hug ever. I just hope everyone doesn't run in the opposite direction. So, whatever our Christmas Day will be, I urge us all to straighten our bow ties, puff up our tutus, put a smile on our faces, and make the very best of the day we can. At least we are here to do just that. Thank you for listening. Take care and stay safe. I hope you all have a happy Christmas Day and a peace-filled New Year, full of peace, hope, love, and above all, good health. Bye for now. Bless you all for listening. Bye. Take care and God bless.